Welcome back to Beyond Two Souls. We're on part 14 now, and we're going towards the dragon's hideout. But first we've got this little flash forward scene, which I guess is a nice little touch. It brings you into the chapter, lets you know what the intense thing we're going to be working towards is.
I grew tired of all this. If you refuse to cooperate, I will have no choice but to kill you. Of course, I will kill you regardless.
See, I don't mind these kinds of scenes out of context because the context is going to be given to us straight away. Plus, we're already expecting things to be dangerous, so it's not really out of nowhere. It's something we can follow, that we've just been sent on this dangerous mission from the CIA, and then we see a little bit of a time skip and we see, okay, they're actually going to be in danger. So now it's putting us in this mindset that we now want to know how Jodie's ended up strapped up and Ryan's being held and all that. But meanwhile, there's some more snow for me to gush over.
We're right on top of the coordinates. The storm's getting worse. What do we do now? Hey, Jodie, ask Aiden to find a shelter somewhere.
You hear that, Aiden?
Like, really, do you need Aiden to see there's some little shacks up ahead you can hide in? Might as well have like a little look around in the meantime though. So this is where it's a little bit finicky for me, because naturally I've played the game before, so I'm knowing that there's a little shack that I need to find in particular. So when I see the buildings on the left, I'd kind of assume I'm meant to be looking at the first ones. I don't think to go that bit far ahead, because from the outside it looks like the one in particular I'm meant to be looking for. That looks like some actual cool gear, not gonna lie.
Shit! It's fucking freezing. What are we doing here? It's just a goddamn fishing village. Our informer duped us. That's what happened. We better get moving before they have to dig our frozen dead asses out of here.
3 days, walking on ice, eating snow.
Right, so the crew we're with right now, we've got Ryan, obviously, who we know, and we've also got Nick, the little guy from the CIA training chapters, and we also have Vince, who's the bald guy who we were training the sort of boxing moves with in Welcome to the CIA.
Set up camp here till the storm blows over. I'll contact HQ.
So these are all people that Jodie's known of for quite a while, even if she's on really bitter terms with Ryan at this moment in time.
Everything's wet.
Let me try.
These look like really tough conditions to be under, because obviously they're carrying around really heavy baggage. They're through the snow. This is implied to be really fucking freezing right now, and you can tell from like how they're all got so many fucking layers of coats and shit. And like, yeah, this looks like absolute hell for me.
I'm gonna go out. I'm desperate for a pee.
Don't go too far, okay?
It's minus 40. I don't plan on doing any sightseeing.
Yeah, minus 40. Fuck that noise. I love it when part of the gameplay is look for somewhere to have a piss. Like, this game has everything. This game has literally everything. We've had showers, we've tidied up an apartment, now we're going for a piss.
Fuck, it's freezing.
Okay, I think we generally get the idea that it's cold now, Jodie. But if we compare the snow visuals here to the ones in, say, My Imaginary Friend or Homeless, here it's much harsher snow conditions, and that's something that's shown through the colour scheme, the lighting, all that, because in the other chapters it's been very settled snow, so they just be the colours that everything else will usually be with the layer of white on top of it. So it was like there's snow there for thematics, but it doesn't really affect anything. Whereas now we've got loads of snow just blowing around everywhere. Basically everything outside is white or a shade of white. It just makes it so much more intense. I mean, it really does convey how harsh these conditions are overall, really.
Let's follow them.
It's kind of hard to take this mission seriously at the start here when we... Like, I see this and I just think of, like, ski activities, all that sort of stuff. Now, I suppose it makes sense as a method of transport. It's just because, like, we don't really see skis in a really serious context that often. I'm just thinking, like, this looks odd.
Bingo.
I didn't go see what's inside.
And what's going on here, I wonder? This might be a random as hell thing to bring up, but I'm actually curious whether Aiden sees people glowing all the time.
We're loading crates into submarines.
Submarine. That means the rift is...
It's underwater. I mean, they must have a base down there, and they're using the subs to shuttle supplies.
How many soldiers?
I can see 3.
Tell Aiden to take them out.
Aiden? Get rid of them.
Now, I believe there's a certain order to do this so that as few people clock on as possible. Because naturally we can't just straight, flat out strangle everyone one at a time, because then someone would notice and alert the right people before that happens.
Wait.
Before we get away with what we want to do. We've done this quite a lot of times already in this game. It seems a little bit morbid to have guys kill their own team while possessed, but yeah, we're getting used to it at this point. It doesn't really seem safe, the way he saw that other guy get shot in the camera and decided to just walk directly into the scene, because there's clearly something not right that one of these people has shot their own teammate, but this guy didn't seem too particularly panicked and he just sort of walked forward like the guy who was in the camera room. Unless that camera wasn't explicitly showing that and he just heard the shot. But even then, if you're in this line of work, you would know what a gunshot sounds like. To know to be that little bit more careful in these sort of environments, especially when you're defending your base.
Fuck, Nick.
Sorry.
You could give me some warning.
So, what do we do now?
Just give me a second, okay?
Right, they're just faffing around, so I want to go look at the sub.
Piloted a sub like this on the CIA simulator. Maybe we can use it.
Yeah, sure, let's use their sub. They won't notice anything. I'm looking for a plan, not a way to commit suicide. What exactly are you doing?
Finding a solution to the problem.
Nice idea, but it won't fool them very long.
Yeah, well, maybe not. But that fucking rift is not gonna shut down by itself, is it?
Okay. That might work from a distance. Then what?
We take the sub down to the base. And then we take it from there.
I'll go with her.
What about
It's
us?
a two-seater. You stay here, you find us a way out. By the time we get back, there's a good chance we're gonna have to move fast. What? Wait, that's an order, Nick. Give me the explosives.
It's nice to see Nick and Vince be actually used for something, because they were just these sort of training buddies every time we've seen them before.
You do realize we might not make it back alive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've known that from the start.
Now, someone who has somewhat of a phobia of water, this is quite, I wouldn't say uncomfortable thing to watch, like say the earlier scenes attacking the dogs, that sort of thing, but it just isn't the most pleasant thing to look at for me, and especially how closed in this view is. I get it's realistic because, you know, submarines, there's so much going on, all the different computers and screens and stuff, but it really, I'm not too keen on this section of the chapter for that reason. It's just not something I like looking at. I guess it's being a little bit uncomfortable with the closed in areas. And the low visibility as well, that's something else that I'm not too fond of on a personal level, not in terms of critiquing the game. But when I can't make out what's going on, it's, yeah. At least this time it's done in context of what's happening, because if you're in a real submarine underwater like this, you're going to get a view not too dissimilar from this, because you can't really see too far ahead in the water where there aren't lights. Whereas comparing that to, say, Hunted, where it's just bad lighting, that's the kind of difference I'm seeing here. It makes sense in terms of the story. But this military facility that we're making our way into, that's like really ups my discomfort rate so much more. And we'll see why more when we get into it. For now, we've got to park the sub up somewhere.
I am impressed. Few men would have heard that for so long.
As you can see, our stealthy approach really didn't work quite as well as we were hoping.
Perhaps you will be more sensitive to your comrades' pain. My questions are simple. I want to know your name, who you work for, and how you learn of the existence of this base.
Right, so during this interrogation, there's different options that you can let happen. If you keep quiet, Ryan's losing an eyeball. That's just what's going to happen. Whereas because I let Jody speak, he's going to keep both his eyes, and we get the trophy called Agent 894732. Whereas if you do let Ryan lose an eyeball, you get a trophy called Eye for an Eye.
So the CIA is aware of our little experiments. And what about the entity that was trapped in our containment field?
He's tied with me. I was born with him.
Fascinating. The Americans have also discovered the existence of this phenomenon. I must inform my superiors. I will return soon to continue our conversation.
So that's why the flash forward was so inoffensive to me, because this has only been like 15 minutes, so I can live with 15 minutes of ambiguity. Or I guess it's more about 2 minutes of ambiguity than the story unfolding, so either way, I'm cool with it.
Now what?
We find the condenser, destroy it, and get out.
And any idea how you plan to do that?
No,
That's useful, Jodie, thank you.
but I'll figure something out.
Jody, don't get too close to them.
We can't just wait here.
Ni, 过来。停止！放下你的武器！
Okay, so now this is pretty interesting because Aiden can't get through there. So now we've got a truly separate thing going on for both Jodie and Aiden here. During both of these sections, although I guess more specifically Aiden's here because of how he controls, I do get quite frustrated in this chapter because it is quite easy to get lost in here. And during my first playthrough there was one part where I was just wandering around in the base for ages, and I really don't like that. And that's worse in this chapter than when you could possibly get lost in the Navajo chapter. Because as much as I dislike desert levels in general, at least I'll give it the defense of there's an atmosphere to soak in, a pleasant atmosphere. Because, you know, it's the wide open areas, got a lot of stuff to look at. Whereas in this, it's a base. It's a really fucking boring place to look at. And yeah, it's one of my least favourite chapters, really, in terms of aesthetics.
我的天哪，怎么回事？
Hold
And there's going to be quite a few bits like this where you're just sort of watching things happen. At least until you work out where you're meant to be going next. Because it's not always clear. It's like sometimes you are just waiting around for that prompt of Jodie to scream something before you realise you're meant to be going after another guy, or just... I can't remember if you have to get back to her or not, but we'll see that in a little bit, I guess. And I highly doubt those beds are at all comfortable. But getting lost when you're possessing someone who walks really slowly just makes it even worse. Where the fuck do I go? I mean, come on, like, everywhere here looks exactly the fucking same. I don't think I've missed any sort of prompts so far. This is the wrong room. I can't do Gamma's voice properly, no matter how much I want to. So, by process of elimination, I think this room? No? Okay, maybe not. So, even watching this back now, I can't for the life of me remember which one was the right room, because, you know, it's just so similar. Okay, here we go. Let's get a gun.
Aiden.
Now, to go back to the mission a bit, why isn't Jodie gonna completely break down over these murders? Because we're still killing people who are not as individuals doing anything wrong. They're just soldiers for this particular country.
Hurry. Hurry. Find me.
There we go.
You made it. Quick. Get me out of here.
Jodie's reaction there, it's reminding me a little bit of in the condenser chapter, like the first time that Jodie thought she might have lost Aiden. Because it shows that as much as she might be annoyed by Aiden, or at times like really upset that her life is dominated by the fact she's tied to him, she does legitimately care for Aiden, and she becomes concerned when he might not be there.
Ryan? Ryan, are you there?
Now, do we have to heal Ryan? He's a dick, come on. Just let him stay there hurt.
Quick.
I'm glad Jodie weren't standing right behind there, because that could have really wiped her out.
Can you walk?
Yeah, look.
Go back to the subs. Wait for me. If I'm not back in 15 minutes, just go without me.
You crazy? Look, Jodie, we've done it. The base is destroyed. Let's get out of here while we still can.
The lift is wide open. Entities are just gonna come pouring out if we don't close it.
It's too late, Jody. We gotta go now.
It's the only way. You know that. The explosives. I need the explosives in the interrogation room.
So now we have a fetch quest in the base where everything looks the bleeding same. You're really spoiling us today, aren't you, Gage? Yeah. This is a really fun section you decided to put in your game. I'm glad you did that. I really am. Walking around aimlessly until you coincidentally find the thing, that's always really good time in a game.
Take care of that bastard, Aiden.
Yeah, I think the camera was giving me a little bit of jip there, which it can do sometimes in these smaller, more tightly enclosed spaces. It's like the camera seems to be designed for more wider movement, but when it's really packed in, it doesn't really know what to do with itself. So I was trying to push up because the prompt was there, but it weren't properly detecting whether I was close enough for that to do the action or not. And to be fair to this game, there are only a handful of places where that's like a real problem. For the most part, you're in environments that work with how the game works. But then again, that kind of ties into the thing we were talking about in Navajo, where the camera is designed for more mid-range sort of rooms. You think, like, say, I'm trying to think of an example, the little hideout in Homeless where the people were living, that sort of size area, that the camera works best there. Whereas the game technologically, it can't really function with big areas. That's why we saw a lot of texture popping in the desert in Navajo. But for the most part, it does hold up. It's just when you've got this sort of narrative-driven game where you're going to be going to all different kinds of places, I imagine it is quite hard to optimize the system properly for all these completely different environments that Jody's going to be going to. Right, I'm meant to be getting that suit there, but it took me a little while to clock on. When I first played this game, I just saw the water there and I didn't notice this suit, so I went back out of the room and started wandering around, and in retrospect that was kind of dumb given it's, you know, right there. But at the same time, I guess it's not really highlighted that well, but yeah. Sometimes I am just dumb, no matter how much I bitch about certain things in the game. Sometimes it is just that I'm a bit thick, and I know that.
It's pitch black. There's gotta be a light on this thing. Keep calm, Aiden.
And wouldn't you know, the light does fucking nothing. This is just hold forward until you get there. Seeing all the guys dead there, that's really not promising as to what's to come. Alright, so we're getting closer to the condenser now, and what this is making me think is for all the missions and that we've had with the CIA and the DPA in relation to condensers, entity condensers, Joji hasn't mentioned anything to either the CIA or Nathan and Cole at the DPA about the huge entity she found in Navajo, that being Yaitso. And while I can understand her not wanting to say anything to the CIA, given they quite obviously have their own corruptions of sorts, I'm surprised she didn't bring anything up to Nathan in the last chapter. In briefing, because it seems like the sort of thing she would share with him, given that he's both someone very close to her and he's in that line of work where it might be of interest. Although, given he's now got this sort of partnership with the CIA, it might be a little bit awkward, but I'm surprised she hasn't mentioned anything whatsoever about the time she was away. I would have thought we would have seen something like that mentioned on screen.
Alright, 3 minutes.
Like, even in the old Trends chapter, when she's just meeting up with Cole on kinda casual terms before they decide to go and look for Nora. It's just celebrating that they're meeting each other again, but after that, nothing. I don't know, I just think it could have been fleshed out a little bit more than it was. But no, we're still not done with these bloody underwater controls. Now this is a really good piece of music for this situation. This is... at first I thought this was meant to be an entity shark, but looking at it now, given how long the tail is, it's standing out more as an eel. But either way, it's got giant teeth, so it's in your interest to just get the hell away from it, no matter what it is.
Going to die here with me. The greatest discovery the world has ever known. Destroyed because of you, stupid American bitch!
Okay, these motion prompts can get quite violent. As we can see. Yeah, this is not nice. I think I've said everything I need to say about the motion prompt so far, so I'm not going to repeat myself, because, yeah. Okay, this is just too dark to see what you're meant to be doing here. The fact that we know Beyond Two Souls is entirely inconsequential, that just detracts from how violent and terrifying this whole scene is. This tension music is used a few times in Beyond Two Souls, and it just works so well for any of the more intense scenes. I'm thankful that during the escape sequence it does prompt you which rooms you're meant to go to, which way you're meant to go to get out. Because if it wasn't quite so obvious, it could be absolute hell in this particular environment. Just keep going, you'll find little prompts like the guy grabbing you or having to mash triangle there. If you get little things like that, you know you're going the right way.
Damn it, Ryan! Where the fuck are you?
You didn't think I'd let you down, huh?
And that is a fucking cool shot.
Get the fuck out.
Shockwave killed the boosters.
But the hole's breached. We're gonna drown.
We're not far from the surface. Maybe we can make it to the top alive.
Yeah. Sounds like a fucking good plan.
I didn't want to talk too much during that escape sequence because I really do like it and I didn't want to ruin the atmosphere. For all I joke about Beyond Two Souls being a film rather than a game, that sort of thing, that could have been an escape sequence from an action film. It just had that whole vibe to it, the intensity, all the noise, the sounds going off, everything. It's very action scene, and now we've got let's face it, with all the implications we've had both on and off, you know, we've got a couple escaping like this. This is very, and I'm going to cringe using this word, it's very filmic.
Still angry with me?
Yeah, of course I am.
Sorry, I behaved like an absolute idiot.
Yeah.
You know, I never had time to tell you this, but I love you, Jody.
In other circumstances, I'd be very.
But I wanted you to know, just in case we die here.
Right.
So how about you?
Huh?
Do you love me too?
Yeah. Yeah, I love you, Ryan.
Great.
Kiss me.
Yay for more awkward kissing animations.
I'll see you on the other side.
So we are getting toward the end of Beyond Two Souls now, and with the exception of that horrible inside base section that's a bitch to navigate around, I like this sort of atmosphere to an ending.
There! It's them!
But join me next time for part 15 of Beyond Two Souls.